topical debate on dual citizenship and naturalization in Sierra Leone has again risen among lawmakers and politicians in Sierra Leone. This time, an amendment to the constitution which removes the disqualification for members of parliament for dual citizens who acquired their Sierra Leonean citizenship by birth has been proposed. The Amendment Act 2020 proposes that Sierra Leonean nationals holding other nationalities can be nominated for elections as well as serve as ministers of state without first renouncing their overseas citizenship. But those opposing the bill say that allowing dual citizens to become members of parliament and hold high offices pose a serious national security threat. Leading the campaign for constitutional change is the parliamentary leader of the opposition National Grand Coalition for Change Party, Dr. Kandekole Yumkela, whose constitutional amendment bill has the support of most opposition parties. Dr. Yumkela has been calling for changes to the constitution that will allow Sierra Leoneans with dual citizenship to have the right to elect and be elected without losing their dual citizenship status, except for certain roles such as Speaker of Parliament, President or Vice President. Currently, Section 76 of the 1991 Constitution states, "No person shall be qualified for election as a member of Parliament, A, if he is a naturalized citizen of Sierra Leone or is a citizen of a country other than Sierra Leone, having become such a citizen voluntarily or is under a declaration of allegiance to such a country for advocates of change. It is about people's human rights as citizens of the country whose yearly financial contributions to Sierra Leone's survival runs into hundreds of millions of dollars. But opponents are worried about the dangers of putting someone who has dual loyalties in a position of power and authority." So this evening, we'll look at the pros and cons of the proposed amendment. My name is Samuel Wise-Bango, and this is AYV on Sunday. Good evening and a very warm welcome to AYV on Sunday on Channel 33 on TV and on Radio 101.7 FM. On my panel this evening, I have lawyer Francis Gabidon. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, sir.
I have Dr. Victor Moina. Good evening, Doc, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mr. Samuel.
All right, and we're with the arrival of the minority leader, the minority leader of opposition in Parliament, Honorable Ibrahim Ben-Kabo, to join the conversation. And to you watching or listening, remember you can always participate in the conversation through our Facebook page. You can find us at Africa Young Voices Media Empire Facebook page, and you can phone in when we open the call line later on. The number for you to call is +232 30 622 766. +232 30 622 766. I'm going to start off the conversation with you, lawyer Gabidon. I recall we had a similar conversation when during the build-up to the 2018 elections. I had you and Adrian Fisher then on my panel, and we were discussing the issue of TUSIM and how it was going to affect state governance. And now there's this. Now it has moved a little higher from dual citizenship to naturalization. So we can have foreign nationals come to Sierra Leone, naturalize, and still wants to have the power to be voted into. Parliament. Eventually, when they become parliamentarians, they can be speaker. They can be vice president. They can be president. Because according to the current constitution, for you to be eligible to be voted in as a president, you must be eligible to be voted in as a member of parliament. Now, where does this put us?
Well, I don't know whether, I think let's divide it. You have the dual citizenship first.
Right.
Let's take that, because that was the one we were debating.
Yes.
That has been complied with, because from what I hear from the speaker, most of those affected who came to Sierra Leone to contest for elections, who were dual citizens, were asked to renounce one of them. Most of them complied except one, Mr. Packer. I don't know. In fact, he was going to be made a minister by President Bill, but I heard he said he was not going to renounce.
Yeah.
The point is that is a standard practice in all African countries I know where you have dual citizenship. I don't know of anyone that has given a blank check to, I don't know. I stand to be corrected. Yeah. Whether there's any African country that allows and opens the same. But I think if you comply, you renounce one, I don't see any problem. You can go to parliament, you can contribute, you can participate. Because you see, you cannot have what are called dual loyalty and dual allegiance. Let me give you an example. During the Second World War, you have a lot of Japanese who resided in the United States. They were residents there, they were part of the United States. Even though they were loyal and their allegiance was to America, they were interred. They were taken and detained until the end of the war, which shows that even though they are part and parcel of America,
they were not
that's it. Now, of course, we don't expect that our brothers will go against us, but it just shows you that you cannot take chance. You know? To me, either you decide to live in Sierra Leone and be part to it. Let me give you an example. When I was qualified in 1972 as a lawyer. I was going to Bermuda, Bahamas. I had lots of West Indian friends who said, come on. I said, no, I'm coming back home. I'm not saying everybody should come back home. But to me, my home was then the priority. That's number one. Number two, once I think you have that dual nationality, you have to make up your mind if there is a dispute or conflict between the two, which one prevails. For example, let's say you have both Nigerian and Sierra Leonean, and let's say there is a war between Nigeria and Sierra Leone. On which side will you be? These are matters which we can glance over, but they can be practicalized. There could be situations where. But I think it has been complied with from what I hear from the speaker. So let me just finish. Yeah. From what I heard, most Sierra Leoneans, even those who disagree with it, have been complying with it. Yeah. But Dr. Yumkela wants it changed. Yes. So he's now saying you must not renounce the second one. I would like to see how that is passed. It will be very interesting. I'm not against it.
And so that is why I want to just quickly ask you again. Yes. I mean, that played your conversation then for the dual citizenship to be looked into in the 2018 elections. That's played a very crucial and controversial role. I mean, some people, who had already been given symbols, party symbols, those symbols were withdrawn from them. And that, in fact, that is what gave, way to others to enter into parliament, because the first choice, were withdrawn owing to the fact that they were dual nationals. And now, like you mentioned, it was fully complied with during the... Yeah,
so far as I know, except one, Dr. Packer.
And now we have...
Who was appointed deputy minister. I don't know him, but I remember when Newma interviewed him, he said, no, I'm not going to renounce it. And he respected his... And I think he's going back to America.
And so that is still playing now in the political corridor.
Well, until there's a change, that is the law still. Yes, that is... As I said, my view is, that is, you see, let me tell you something, Mr. Wise. This law has been in our constitution since 1991. You know, a lot of people forget. I always make this point. Since 1991, during the Peter Tucker Commission, where we were all trying to vote, get the new constitution, during late President Momo's time, it's been there. Even some of these people in power today who are completely never did anything. They knew about it. Some of them kept silent. Let me tell you what happened in this country. On one occasion when President Ernest Koroma was in power, I can't remember whether it was the first or the second one, most of its parliamentarians had dual citizenship because nobody bothered to check. Quite a number of them. In fact, to the extent that on one occasion, they wanted to pass a bill or some amendment. They had to ring to the United States to bring some of them back. This is a fact. I'm not telling you something. This is a fact. Can you imagine a country at a time when you say you need an emergency? You have to start to call your members of parliament from abroad. That just shows you some of the danger. But they got away with it. It was only when this article came out. And you know what was happening? We wrote it 5 or 6 months before the election. All they had to do was to go and repeal it. A simple majority in parliament. It's not entrenched. But when it came out, people were saying, oh, you're talking nonsense. Threats were made. My daughter was threatened in America. I just laughed. I said, look, this is not me. Mr. Choka is dead now. Why don't you go and blame the man who did it? Or Dr. Abdullah, or all the people who made Nigeria. I did not make it. All I did was to trigger it.
Now Justice Adrian Fisher then challenged your position.
We're fine.
Felt that no, I mean,
yes, we're fine.
It cannot be interpreted that way.
Well, I've interpreted it that way. And Kola Yumkela took it to the Supreme Court. Up till today, the Supreme Court has not given a decision weighing on that.
Right.
Again, can you blame me for that? I will only go according to what the law is. So my view is, I'm not against it if people comply with it. If they change it tomorrow, fine. I agree with what the law says. I respect the law. That's my position on that one.
All right.
I'm dividing it. When you come to naturalization.
Yes, let's talk about dual citizenship, Dr. Moina. I mean, this is quite an interesting political debate within, I mean, the political corridors of our state. And like I mentioned, Lawyer Gabidon raised this in 2018, and I had a conversation with him and now Justice Adrian Fisher with regards, I mean, how can that be interpreted? Dual citizens and those who were dual citizens vying for elective positions back then in 2018. And it turned out that many people who came in from different countries, who held different nationalities then, were denied. I mean, they were given the symbols and later on withdrawn from them, and others, I mean, enjoyed the benefit. Yeah. And so others benefited from it. And now we still have that push from Dr. Kande Yumkela, for example, pushing hard that it is but only fitting that at this point, dual citizens are allowed to be voted in parliament. I mean, they should be sent to parliament, but that they should not, I mean, become speaker, they should not become vice president or president. But the constitution states when you're eligible to become a member of parliament, automatically you become eligible for the position of the presidency.
And the speaker.
Exactly. So, I mean, how do we unbundle this?
First of all, thank you very much for the platform. Let me try to look from the perspective of Honorable Dr. Kande Yumkela. I think he's trying to lay Sierra Leone with the United States. You know, when President Obama became president, he held on to his Kenyan nationality. Right. And he was going back and forth to Kenya, and everybody was like, he's Kenyan, he's American. But what he's failing to realize is that the society in which President Obama lives is not the same society we have in Sierra Leone. Now, if we're having, just like Lawyer Gabidon was saying, if we have, for instance, a Chinese coming in as a member of parliament and he becomes a speaker of the House of Parliament, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to work in the interest of China. So what I think Dr. Yumkela should have understood is the contextual basis in which we find ourselves, which is Sierra Leone, is different from that of the United States. And it's also different from that of the UK. Because these developed countries, they also have ways in which they can check the powers of these people. We don't have such checks and balances here in Sierra Leone. So how do we go about having these? And, you know, sometimes we always want to copy what is happening in the West, forgetting that where we live is totally different from where these people are. So how do you explain to someone that, oh, you can become a member of parliament and you will not have some benefits and some privileges? It's not possible. It's really not possible. So my stance would be, let us have it as it is. If there is a need for a change, then we should also look at what happens if a Chinese become a member of parliament and ultimately become a speaker of parliament. Will it work in the interest of Sierra Leone? Are we going to push for that?
I'd like to support all what Dr. said. But I have a view. It's a pity Dr. Yumkela is not here because I know him as my friend. I think because a lot of the people who support his party are in the diaspora. I say so with the greatest of respect to him. In fact, right now he's in America.
Yes.
They have a convention of the NGC or something. But you see, Dr. Yumkela is a wonderful person, brilliant, somebody I have so much respect. But as I always say to him, I say, Doctor, you think his diaspora is going to make you president of Sierra Leone? I've told him that. How many people will vote there? Now, there's also the talk of what you call overseas voting, which they do in Guinea, and in Ghana, and you can vote.
Even in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yes.
They do it all the
how
time.
many people? You know, to me, even if your support is in the diaspora, you must get your base in Sierra Leone, sir. You will have an additional support there. But the Ghanaians, the Guinea, take Guinea. The Fulans are in the majority in Guinea, overseas. Yes. They vote overseas in the embassies. And yet, there's never been a fuller president in Guinea. So even Dr. Imkela might be in for a shock that because he's so pushing this diaspora thing. I mean, as I said, I like this man so much, but I told him, I said, why are you pushing this diaspora? Oh, Francis. I said, it's because most of the people there support you. Yes. I told him, that's why. It's because the base of his support is from the diaspora. But we also are all Sierra Leoneans.
Before you interject, let me just compliment what Lawyer Gabidan is saying. Let's not just look at the dual citizens. Let's talk about those naturalized here.
We'll come to that. Let's just a little bit just focus on the dual citizenship. Now, the arguments that have been advanced is that these diasporans, I mean, who come and they want to be elected, but they have, I mean, they are dual citizens belonging to Sierra Leone and perhaps the US, UK, or other countries. They play a crucial role to the growth of Sierra Leone's economy.
In what sense?
In the sense that what they remit back to Sierra Leone, I mean, it runs into hundreds of millions of dollars, which helps, I mean, in growing the country's GDP. And so if they're contributing to the economy of the country, then why discriminate, why push them and kill that thought that they have to exercise their political rights?
But it happens all over. In Kenya recently, President Kenyatta appointed a Kenyan from the United States as an ambassador to South Korea. Or they said he must renounce. He refused. He did not give him his job. But they also remit a lot of money to Kenya. In fact, more than in Sierra Leone, I cannot accept that argument. That's number one. It's not every Sierra Leonean out of Diaspora who remits money to us. It's not all of them. I have relatives abroad who don't send a penny to this country. At times I have to send money to them. I don't think this is true to say that people who are abroad always send money. Yes, they make a lot of contribution. I know a lot, but it's not true that most Sierra Leoneans abroad send money back home. Some do, but not all of them. But let me let my brother finish.
What I have a question.
Let my brother finish. I'll come back again.
Some of us studied out of Sierra Leone also. And when we were there, like for instance, where I studied in Cameroon, if you have another nationality, you are not a Cameroonian. The moment you take another nationality, automatically you lose being
even if you're a born Cameroonian.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So if you look at their superstars like Samuel Eto'o, like Patrick Mboma, they've been out of the country for a very long time, but they are still Cameroonians. They've not taken other nationalities. My daughter is a Cameroonian, but if I decide to bring her to Sierra Leone, automatically she becomes a Sierra Leonean and not a Cameroonian. So if you look at such contexts, these people that have crafted their constitutions and made their country like that, they have a reason for doing that. And the reason is that they want to protect their country. Because some of these people coming out, you think they are bringing in ideas, but actually they are not.
Right.
They're actually going to work in the interest of the other country they are representing. So how do we draw the line? Because once he's there, he's going to work in the interest. That is what we always say. That's the politics of being out of another country. For instance, if you have a minister of mines that also has an American nationality, there's a possibility that if an American company comes and wants to do mining, he can easily be bought and easily be spoken to, and he would work in their interest. And how do we stand to gain if we continue to allow that to happen? I am not discriminating against these people. No, they are Sierra Leoneans. They want to come back home to contest for anything. Let them be Sierra Leoneans.
Exactly. Decide where you want to live.
That is just what we are asking.
You want to have both sides of the cherry.
So your views are that they should renounce any other nationality they hold other than Sierra Leone.
Especially for political offices.
Because that is what is done in other countries.
Especially for political offices.
It's not unique to Sierra Leone. I give you the Kenyan example. This is nothing unique to us. It's all over Africa, Mr. Wise. It's just that some of the MPs here are making... Dr. Abbas Bundu is worked all over the world. He supports this when I spoke to him. Because there are also security implications. Let me tell you, after independence, if you look at the Citizenship Act of 73, certain jobs were prohibited from Sierra Leoneans not having that. If you marry X, Y, Z, or you hold certain positions, you will not get certain jobs because you haven't the link with another country. Oh yes. For example, in Nigeria right now, a number of Nigerians who fought in the war here, who took Sierra Leonean wives to Nigeria, I take you up on this, had to send some of them back. And because the Nigerian government refused to accept them as wives of very senior Nigerian army officers because it was a security risk for them.
Of course.
You see, we are not looking at this thing, we are just looking at it from a simple, there are security implications. If, for example, I'm head of the army under normal circumstances, and I'm married to a Jamaican, what is stopping me from looking after a Jamaican? A Jamaican comes to this country. There must be prohibition. Even the British and the Americans, they have ways of limiting. They don't make noise like us in a subtle way. For example, for some time, the Jews were not allowed to become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. You will know that, but it's only in a subtle way. So I'm not against these people. It's just that some of our people refuse to accept some of the laid down rules. This law was made by Sierra Leone. In 1991, they went all over the country, Mr. Wise. Now, I don't know whether you know Dr. Peter Tucker.
Yes.
Wonderful man.
And I even read his report.
He went all over, not a single village, he went all over. I mean, before that constitution or draft was taken to parliament, I don't think there was any area in Sierra Leone whose views were not. You know, this is the views of Sierra Leone at that time. If we again say now we want to change it, fine. I mean, it's all right to change, but there must have been good reasons for them to have gone to that extent.
But let's look at it this way. Now, should the constitution change and it allows them to be voted in, for example, as members of parliament, should we look at it from a democratic lens that it emboldens our incipient democracy, that we're able as a nation to have, diverse views, people with diverse backgrounds to come and help build the political structure of a nation like Sierra Leone, Doc?
I have a contrary view.
Go ahead.
In Africa, we often think of South Africa as a rainbow nation because it has different people and everything. But xenophobia proved us wrong. We saw that the blacks were saying that they are marginalized. And it's an issue that has gone beyond borders. If even you're black and you're not South African, you are killed if you're not careful. So when I look at the lenses of diversity, I think diversity should be with us Sierra Leonean. We are diverse in our culture. We are diverse in our way of thinking. Politics is what has divided us. And we all know that once we say that I am Mendy, I am Timni, we know where you belong. I am Creole, I'm this, we know where you belong. So I think if we're looking at diversity, we should look at inwardly what diversity can do for us. A true rainbow nation, as I would always say, is the United States. Because that is where you have the Indians, you have the Hispanic, you have all these people that have come together to make it. But they have a way of curtailing how things are done there. So I don't think we have matured enough to have such in our constitution. Because if we are having such now, what would we be able to use to contain these people? I am saying this in a very simple way. Why would you want to give somebody power and then you limit the person, thinking that the person will not react? If I'm giving power, then I should be given the full benefit that comes with it. So why are you saying I can come in as a member of parliament, but I can't come in as a speaker, I can't come in as a president? That would automatically change once I'm there.
Can I support?
Because that is the first thing I will do. I need my powers. So I think if we are going to look at it from the diversity lens, we should look at it as diversity within ourselves. Only that way can we be able to strengthen our democracy.
So how about those who've gone out, they've gotten the experience of how advanced democracies work across the world?
We are not alienating Sierra Leoneans.
We don't eat democracy.
That is the problem.
We
are not alienating Sierra Leoneans.
Mr. Wise, let me take you up on this. You're looking at an abstract issue. We are practicing democracy in this country. No, look at other countries. They fight inside their parliament. Their debates are not of high standard. Whatever all our faults we are managing, we've had how many elections now? Is it only by going to parliament you contribute to your country, sir?
Because politics...
No, I'm asking you a question. Is it what you're saying is our diaspora and brothers and sisters should just concentrate? What about other things? We lack...
I didn't even qualified.
We don't have veterinary surgeons we used to have in this country. We don't have people in prisons of... What I'm saying, is it only by going to... Is that the only thing you can do for Sierra Leone?
Because the politicians feel they can only create the necessary change in society and bring that development when they are in the game. of
What
politics.
about the ones that we have now? Aren't they competent to do so? Are you saying that it's diaspora people who have to come and change side? What about the ones we have now? Intelligent people? Have you gone to? No, you have actually cranked them down. You don't need to come. You don't need to go to come from abroad. Yeah. I don't agree with you, sir. You see, I think we are laying too much. To me, I would like to see diaspora open factories, open industries, like they do in other countries, Nigeria, Cameroon, as you say. But most of them want to go to parliament. Why? That's my question.
Because,
you can tell me.
because that is where they think the honeypot is.
Well, that's what
they want to go there for the resources.
I want Mr. Wise to answer that.
They want to go there for the money.
Why don't they come?
I wouldn't know.
No, but honestly, that is the truth. The truth of the matter is everybody wants to be a politician because they say
it's a very lucrative job.
Exactly.
Let me tell you something, sir. I was very close to the late President Kaba. And I remember he used to say, whenever I traveled, he used to say, for instance, I used to ask some of them, why don't you come back home? One chap was in telecoms. He said, come, let me help with telecoms. He said, hey, how much you're not going to pay me? What is there to do? No. These are things that he told them. I won't tell lies. Some of these people have come now because I think presently they can be. He met Sierra abroad and spoke to them, cajoled them, begged them. Did you have many diaspora people doing it? He said, no, because he did not promise that he would go to parliament or make them ministers. He wanted Sierra to be involved in everything. Right now, we lack certain jobs. You have very few Sierra Leoneans. But there are very few qualified Sierra Leoneans.
But by default or by obligation, do we not give them that assurance that, I mean, if I am a presidential candidate, I mean, I know basically my support base, especially financial support base, is going to come from these guys who stay in the US, those who stay in the UK. When it's campaign time, they are going to finance my campaigns. I mean, they're going to be there for me financially. It is only, especially with the politics, I mean, the political pundits have said we practice the politics of compliments other than competence. It will be time for payback. So, and the best way that they feel that I should pay them back is by allowing them to come and let them feel what is in there, and so they can find ways to get it themselves or take back their monies. But so is it not by default that we've created that?
But you have a problem right now.
Can I start something?
Okay, let Dr. finish.
Yes, please. The way you're putting it, you are making them feel like we are alienating against them.
Yes.
A Sierra Leonean is a Sierra Leonean.
Yes.
Whether you're a Sierra Leonean, Nigerian, whether you're a Sierra Leonean, Guinean, whether you're a Sierra Leonean American, a Sierra Leonean is a Sierra Leonean.
Right.
You being a Sierra Leonean does not stop with you getting into public office. It doesn't stop with you getting into parliament. You being a Sierra Leonean knows that you have a role to play as a Sierra Leonean.
Right.
How many Sierra Leoneans have actually thought of coming back with industries in this country? How many Sierra Leoneans have actually thought to contribute towards building the infrastructures of Sierra Leone? Now we're talking about so many programs in the country, including the fiber optic. We have to rely on foreigners to come and work on it. Do you think we don't have Sierra Leoneans who are qualified to work on it?
Qualified in America.
But yet, they all want to come into public office, into politics, into parliament. Why is that so?
Exactly.
Is there where the money is?
It is a well of parliament where the water meant to nurture democracy.
But even the water flows out of the well. It flows to every part of the country. Right. So what I'm saying is, some of our diasporans should use their skills in developing the country rather than thinking of going there to make laws. To make laws is not meant for everybody. It's just like in the home. Not everybody can be the father.
Let me give you
Somebody has to be a father.
Let me give you a good example now. Dr. Dembi, Minister of Health, he was in the Center for, I know him very well, he worked at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention America, the top medical agency in Atlanta, he was there, and also the Center for Infectious Diseases. He has come and they've made him, nobody will quarrel with that because he's come with a wealth of knowledge and experience. You could see the difference when he talks, and you know, everybody bows down to that man because he knows it. Center for Disease Control is the leading place. Well, that's what Dr. Mona said. So you are where you should be. But it's not a question of saying, I want to be there. Most of them say, let me go back home. I have a mortgage in the United States, or I'm going to, you know.
Exactly.
We sympathize with our brother, but no, I don't think that should be. I've given you an example of a diasporan who, fantastic, not him alone, there are many of them. You know, but at the same time, there have been people from the diaspora, been made ministers, and President Madam, you have sacked them. I won't call name, but he sacked some of them.
And I was just going to say the example you've just cited, Austin Denby, Minister of Health and Sanitation.
Yes.
I mean, he's coming into the country with that huge, I mean, expertise to help create that environment into a public office as a Minister of Health and Sanitation.
Yes.
But not as a parliamentarian.
Yes.
Okay.
Not as vice
No,
president.
he did not come to go to parliament.
No. He came in on an appointment. If he doesn't deliver, he's fired.
Yes.
But if he's a member of parliament, we can't fire him. We have to wait until after
the people will fire him after 5 years.
But then, if this one misbehaves immediately, he's fired.
Because he is appointed
by the president. So this is where the discretion comes in. Now, to just finish with what he's saying, most diasporans that I know, I am not decrying them, is once they have been in the US, the UK, maybe in Europe for a long time, things are not working out. They just get some money, say, okay, I can contest back for MP because they sabi me. And when you come into parliament, I'm even saying this in my constituency where I live. My parliamentarian has never made something, an addition to a discussion in parliament. Every time I sit down to look at parliamentary session, I'm looking out for him. Do you know where he sits? With the paramount chiefs at the back. So I'm like, and I would say, honestly, I live in one of the richest constituencies in Freetown. So if my parliamentarian cannot be able to discuss on bills, on laws that affect me, then why is it there? Because that is the issue. It is not about getting into parliament.
Representation.
It's about what are you going to do there?
Right.
Are you going to work in the interest of the people, or are you just going there because you have some money to give some people, and then they will vote for you, and then later what happens? You now reap your money again, and then you start getting your allowances, and there is nothing going on. And some people will tell you that even when it comes to the development of their constituency, they will tell you that it's not the role of the parliamentarian to make the development.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, but they are right. But also, you also look at it from evolving opportunities that are coming in. You are getting money, you know that there is something that should be done. Why don't you invest it into the community? You are living in the community. What if an emergency happens at night? Do you still run to another place?
Quickly, before we go to the naturalization discussion, let me take this message. These guys are off point big time. They fail to recognize the brain drain we have suffered from and the crucial and badly needed capacity diaspora can offer. Stop telling me about Kenya and Cameroon. They are not of any yardstick in this discourse. Remove the barrier and the net gain to Sierra Leone will be enormous.
The person is also missing the point.
Nobody has stopped them from coming.
Nobody said you should. Did you listen to the point I said that we are not alienating against Sierra Leoneans? Right. You are a Sierra Leonean whether you come for public office or not.
In fact, nobody stops them from coming back to become lawyers, doctors, engineers,
nobody.
Veterinary surgeons. We're talking about people who specifically only want to go to parliament. There is no question of brain drain. The brain drain is the other professions which is open to them. Because you don't need any particular thing to be a doctor inside. Do you? You come back from America, they're glad to see you. Or a lawyer, or a veterinary surgeon, or dentist. For example, somebody was telling me that we have only about 3 or 4 dentists now in the country. I think they're about to open a dental school now because it's still. Why don't they come and be dentists? Why is the brain drain? The brain drain is all in
Do
America.
we even have neurosurgeons
I
in
know
Sierra
about
Leone?
5. I'm sitting, I know 5 Sierra Leoneans in Washington State alone. They've been dentists, they've been there for years, and they have no intention to come back. 5 of them, I'm not joking, including one who is my relative. He said because of the resources, he's giving all sorts of excuses, you know, and dentists make more money than doctors, you know. But there is no question of brain drain there. The brain drain is in those other vocations where we need skilled people, and nobody is stopping them from coming back to their country. Right. So I would have loved to get the reply of that gentleman or lady.
No. Let me also hammer on this point. How many neurosurgeons do we have in Sierra Leone?
None.
How many pathologists do we have in Sierra Leone? How many mental health experts do we have?
1 or 2.
So you see, and they are Sierra Leoneans.
Yes. So I say private number is trying to call, but if you can just send a text first. Firstly, please, and introduce yourself to me, then I will know if it's something I would accommodate in the conversation.
We have a shortage of many other areas that doctors brought in, or even this gentleman, where people are not coming to take that position. Take psychiatry. When Dr. Naim resigned, we only have one young gentleman, Dr. Jallo,
yes,
who came back from Kenya. He said, but that was Kenya. He went and specialized. Sierra Leone, we started education before Kenya. The first principal in Kenya was the Sierra Leonean, Dr. Atopota. So I think it should be ashamed to say, let's not mention Kenya. They do brain surgery in Kenya. But there are brain surgeons. In the West Indies, there's a Sierra Leonean brain surgeon. I didn't meet him when I went to Trinidad. They told me, I went to the house to say hello, but I did not meet him. I don't know if they say it was from Kono. He's the one, he goes around all the different islands. They're flying to do it. They're Sierra Leonean, so, but they don't come. And we are not, nobody's stopping. We don't,
so we have now narrowed it down that most of our people think it's only politics.
That's the problem.
That you can get a job.
That's the point.
But actually, they are failing to realize. Yeah, well,
in Sierra Leone, that's a perception.
Now you're getting
the
it.
myth.
Now you're saying it's a perception.
Yes, that's the perception.
A perception is not the reality. Nigerians are making money in this country. Why? Because they are tapping into potentials that we are not looking into.
That we have ignored.
And we are thinking it's only when I get into office that I can actually make a change. I'm a lecturer in the university. Most of my students ask me, why don't you go for political office? And I told them, do you think it's everybody that is meant to be a politician? Even if I have a political ambition, I have something I want to achieve first. In the educational sector, we have seen that we are going down. And how can I contribute my fair share as to how I could improve on my brothers and sisters' opportunities to make more in education? I am serving my country there.
Yeah.
So if somebody else have an opportunity to come back home, think of how you're going to help develop the country. And in helping, you are also developing yourself and making money.
But sir, even making money, now you have an anti-corruption commission that probably with the slightest inclination that you're going outside, they're going to pounce on you. So some of them won't be happy to come. Because, no, I'm not joking. Because somebody called me and said, oh, they see that man, they want. I said, I don't know if you want more. No, it's so
interesting.
Yes, there was a time when...
So basically, you see, the perception is they are not coming to serve. They are coming to reap.
Right.
Some of the things that they've not been able to get out of the country. So how do you blame us?
Let's move on to the issue of naturalization. This is very critical. I see you made a submission that it should not just be left in the hands of parliamentarians.
Yes.
That should be taken to referendum. Let Sierra Leoneans make the decision.
It is a serious matter.
So let me hear your submission on that.
Otherwise, it is a serious matter. Naturally, I mean, generally, as far as I know, I might be wrong, doctor might correct me. I've done a bit of research. Most countries in the world who grant naturalization, they don't go further to say you can go to parliament. In other words, they naturalize you, you go into business, factory, whatever you want to do. You can vote. I mean, as I say, you're given all the privileges, all the rights around your own land, you know. But
you can intermarry.
Yeah, but to go into parliament, now, simply, most of the people who went for naturalization during the last two regimes, I don't know about now, whether they're doing, were not Sierra Leoneans. Because I know a member of that committee. They were Indians, Pakistanis, Lebanese, Chinese. Yes, they have been naturalized.
They are Sierra Leonean citizens now, by naturalization.
They are Sierra Leonean citizens, yes. Fine, to me, that is fine. They let them open their factory, open their business, let them carry on. Give them all the facilities and all the incentives. Why do we need those Chinese and Korean people to go to parliament? Who are they going to represent? It's a dangerous matter, sir. It has implications beyond our wildest dreams. One, I don't know of any country that has done it. As I say, I don't think we should be the first. Two, will it be open to all naturalized citizens, or are they going to qualify the type of naturalized citizens? Three, somebody said to me that, as I think doctor said, we don't have the mechanism like an FBI or these mechanisms to check these people, because you have to do a lot of checking and scrutiny. Because when they apply, they make all the declaration, I am XYZ, I don't hold any other passport, this is the only one, my loyalty to be, it's a whole declaration. Yeah. Do we have that mechanism here to check? Let me tell you something again which will shock you. Quite a number of Lebanese in Sierra Leone who hold Sierra Leonean naturalization also have a Lebanese passport or also have British passport. So they're supposed to give it up, but they don't. It's a fact I'm saying. If anyone challenges me, bring him here. In other words, when you give in the naturalization, you're supposed to renounce and denounce that one. You should just throw it aside because you are now a Sierra Leonean. You are no longer a Lebanese or Indian or Pakistani. They don't give it up, they keep it. The reason why they use the Sierra Leonean passport is because most of the time when they travel with it, they don't have any problems. Whereas when they travel with their own passport, they cannot go to like Israel, they have problems. I know them, I've worked for them, I've lived with them, I have eaten with them. So the Sierra Leonean passport is a very useful document.
The question I want to ask, Doc, why would you then want to deprive people, I mean, whom you've naturalized, whom you've accepted to become citizens? Now you want to give them half rights and, I mean, tell them that, oh, you're not qualified to enjoy some of these rights, especially the political ones.
Okay. Well, we are not saying that they should not enjoy that. But we are looking at where would your allegiance stand?
The Chinese.
You know, when I started the discussion, I said, how can we have a Chinese in the Well of Parliament? And then we say that you are not going to contest for speaker, you are not going to become vice president or president. As long as he's a member of parliament, he can change it. Because he will bring up the debate, and he will have people support him, and they can win. So the dangers of it, you becoming a naturalized citizen doesn't automatically qualify you for political office. Did you become a naturalized citizen because you want to run for a political office? Why didn't you run for political office in your home country, where you're coming from?
Can we allow them to be appointed into public offices?
I don't think we need to.
No, they don't.
Being a naturalized citizen is because it's either by birth, it's either by marriage, or either by registration or something, or business affiliation.
And most of the people who are naturalized tend to be business people.
And so why do you want to have a shift immediately from business to politics? Is it because, like I said, politics is the honeypot?
No, but Mr. Wise, it's interesting. If that is the case, you say let's open it up. They can go to parliament, fine. They can appoint one of them who's probably Chinese to be speaker. Probably another one who's a member of the other party can be leader of the house. A Korean. I'm not laughing. I'm telling you things that could happen.
Go ahead.
You know what a place like Rwanda has done? Most of their parliament is full of women.
Of course. And they are Rwandans.
They don't think about foreigners.
And they are Rwandans.
They are Rwandans. They are Rwandan women who are in the majority in parliament in Rwanda. We are thinking all the time. Now, foreigners can develop the country.
Have you seen a foreigner in the parliament of Ghana?
I don't know.
Have you seen a foreigner in the parliament of Nigeria? Do you think there are not foreign nationals that have Nigerian and Ghanaian nationality? They are.
And President Bio in Turkey said, it is only we Sierra Leoneans who will develop our country. I was so proud of that statement. When he was in Turkey, he said that. He says it's only we Sierra Leoneans. Now, if we're going to bring Chinese, Koreans, they are fine. They have a role to play. I'm not saying to tell them, oh, they can be business people, let's give them all the incentives to develop the country. But do they have to go to the parliament? And there are security implications as well. Of course. There are security implications.
The whole thing I'm looking at right now is, Samuel, why are we only focusing on political things rather than on the national, economic, social and structural things that we should be focused on?
Because the myth is that politics tends to be the oil.
And that is, well, the thing is because what we've seen from our political leaders, we are seeing that this man, they inaugurate one motokase. Immediately become
in 3 years, he's riding a Mercedes-Benz.
He don't get, no to just Benz, now he get V8, 2. Then he don't build Osna Regents, he gets in his own personal things in a way, they do. Then how do we explain to others that you can actually make a honest living from doing another job? Well, they can say that this guy, look at him in few years, he's now very big. So why should I sit down and start little? So I think we should not look at just
just from the political.
Let us look at
economic.
The social, economic,
because that is
and
where we have problems.
Things. How can we help?
The World Bank,
so even the social, the economic,
sectors are being controlled by the politicians. True, but Politics is not the only means of survival in Sierra Leone, is it? Are you a politician?
I'm a journalist here.
So, but you survive in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
So why would an Indian or a Lebanese not become a journalist like you?
And some
And the only way to become
and some parliamentarians abroad, Mr. Wise,
Yeah.
they are in parliament. They have a second job. Some of them are lecturers. Some of them are, they have other things to do.
and
So
all that.
yes, we should stop this thing of saying, without politics, I will die. Is it a matter of live or die? Do you have to die because...
It's because of the oil that comes from politics.
Some
That's
politicians
why they die.
you can count on, let me tell you, because I've been in this country long, I've born here, I can count on my hands those who I know really made money from politics. A lot of them did not make money. They were a man like the late man like Paka. I don't know whether you've heard that name. These people, had Sintilo or some other people, I don't know whether they made any money from politics. You see the man is walking all over. The first set of parliamentarians we had, when I was young, we used to go to parliament. Most of them did not have cars. The ones that had cars were the ministers with their flag. They were just ordinary people. They went to serve. I think this question of money, well, it's a new phenomenon. And I think, as my brother said, we should cut that down a bit. We all like money. Nobody knows what to
Definitely.
If that is the reason why we want to go into parliament, then we're in danger, because then Sierra Leone will be taken for
let me ask this question to both of you. We have, for example, a very weak health system, sadly to say.
Yes.
And when some of our, well-to-do guys, when they got sick, what they do is to fly to other countries, go to India, go to Lebanon, go to Ghana, for treatments. Yes. Go to the UK, go to Germany. So would it be prudent to say, okay, we have this German who has naturalized, he's a naturalized Sierra Leonean. He's an expert in whether the medical field, and so should we say, because he's an expert, and he's also Sierra Leonean by naturalization, let's give him an opportunity to serve as the Minister of Health and Sanitation.
Okay. I would stand to correct you from
Go ahead.
perspective.
Go ahead.
You don't have to be a minister to serve.
And you have to naturalize.
You don't have to. You don't have to be a top official to serve this country.
Right.
If you are a medical practitioner and you're naturalized, simple. Open your hospital. A private hospital wouldn't hurt anyone. As long as you conform to the rules of the land, you are given your certificate and you start operations, and the country benefits from your services.
That does not give you the platform to actually try to solve or salvage the menace of life we have.
Years from now, when the
there are quite a few new hospitals with Lebanese.
I think the Vicinico was one of the best hospitals some years ago.
Yes.
And we saw how many lives it saved.
Right.
Will you say that the Vicinico never served its purpose?
Well, you just said was.
But because I have not even heard of it since,
I agree with you.
I came back last year.
I agree with you.
So I am now looking at all of these things would continue if we have working professionals that are qualified to run this institution. I remember it was in 2018. I saw a publication, I think, when the Indian Prime Minister came to visit Sierra Leone, and he went to visit the Tretum Hospital. And there was a publication that says George Ram is a charitable hospital and something. It's caused a lot of outcry. It's one of the most expensive hospitals in the country. It's this, it's that. For crying out loud, do you think running a hospital is child's play? It involves a lot of money.
Right.
So if somebody is putting money into the business and decides to make it exorbitant, will you blame the person? Even the public offices we have. I was reading a post a few days ago when one person wrote a letter to the president, and it was saying that, oh, Mr. President, thanks to God that we are seeing you healthy and everything, but people in PCMH are not even getting the services that they need, because somebody's child was sick. They wanted to give the child blood. They said the child has low blood, only for them to do a test, because the machine that they had to use wanted to use a finger battery, but the battery was not available.
Let me read this very interesting text.
No, I want us to take this point, because you are saying we are missing out. In other words, there could be foreigners we can use.
I'm asking questions.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this way.
Yeah,
I want
understand.
To
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just saying that. That's why I said to you, you could naturalize some people and make certain exceptions.
Right.
I said to you, you can have exceptions.
Yeah.
If you want to go to that, it's possible. It's entirely up to the government. But most of them probably wouldn't want to work for government. Right now, one of the best hospitals in Freetown is in Wilkinson Road, run by Lebanese. Life, I don't know what's the name.
Life Care.
Life, something like that.
So we'll have to send invoice for advertising that. See,
no,
for advertising that on my platform. But just quickly, let me read this. This is very interesting from Ajibu Tijanjalo. It's saying the law as it is written in the 1991 Constitution, my son or daughter, both of whom are American citizens, and have never visited Sierra Leone, can be elected to parliament. But I cannot be elected because I am a naturalized U.S. citizen. How beneficial to Sierra Leone is that?
No, you should find out the reason why. Because our law says if those ones that were born there, they did not ask for Sierra Leone citizenship, the children.
Yes.
If he makes the move voluntarily, let me give you an example. My daughter now has gone that far to ask for American citizenship. She cannot become a member of parliament. Her son, who was born in America, can become a member of parliament because he did not make any declaration. He's inheriting.
So he becomes a member of parliament in Sierra Leone and he still holds...
Well, he's not a dual citizen. That's the point. Or if he's a dual citizen, it is his own case. You see, because the law...
But if he's born in the U.S., does that not automatically make him a U.S. citizen?
If you look at the act,
yes,
that is what Fisher was telling.
Go ahead.
In other words, if you voluntarily, that is, if you go forward, if you're a Sierra Leonean, you go to America, you still keep your Sierra Leonean citizenship with you. You make that except and say, at the left arm, I want to be American, you have a problem. I don't know what you see. That is, you should not voluntarily ask for it.
All right. Okay.
And that is the catch.
Interesting.
Well.
Very interesting. So let's take. There was a press conference called by the opposition deputy leader in Parliament, Honorable I.B. Kabo, who we're still waiting for. By the way, he honorably agreed even 20 minutes to the show that he was on his way coming. So we're still honorably waiting for the honorable member of parliament to join the conversation. I mean, he had a press conference. Let's listen to his take on the issue of this citizenship debate.
The debate on the dual citizenship continues, and the deputy leader of the main opposition, All People's Congress Party in Parliament, Honorable Ibrahim Ben Kagbo, supports the government's motion.
So the dual citizenship thing is one thing that we respect as a party, and it is also in our constitution.
But
some of us are very liberal enough to say, okay, if people want to go to parliament, they can contest, even if he has a two-seat. But beyond parliament itself, we have to ask ourselves the question. Don't forget that apart from that, we have a dual citizenship, a law which says that people can be citizens of Sierra Leone and citizens of another country. But the fear is that if you open it to that extent, exceeding the point of members of parliament, then you run into the difficulty of putting people into very sensitive positions. What if the person wants to become president of Sierra Leone and is a Lebanese or an Indian who has been given dual citizenship? What do you do? Can you stop him? Definitely the law will allow that person. You cannot stop that person.
He noted that the idea was to ensure security of the country.
So also therefore it is dangerous for the state. It's a state problem, and it's serious security that cannot be toyed with. So some of us are thinking that when the bill comes to parliament, we look at it from some other angle. We do not want to say that anybody who has two SIMs cannot go to parliament. It will be too much now. Let us allow people to go to parliament even if they have two SIMs. We'll be liberal as that to that extent. But when you want to become president, you cannot be somebody with a dual citizenship. It will be too dangerous for our security. So we will not allow the position of president to be occupied by somebody with a dual citizenship. We will not allow the position of vice president to be allowed to be occupied by somebody who has a two SIM. We will not allow a speaker to be occupied by somebody who puts him. Office of National Security. These are all very, very secure positions in the state.
The proposed Constitution of Sierra Leone Amendment Bill 2020 that is already gazetted is not all gloom or doom, but what is clear is that it will be another big test for the Parliament of Sierra Leone. Joseph Johnson, AYV News, Freetown.
I mean, it's very interesting, the submission of Honorable Ibrahim Ben Kabulva, that, I mean, it poses some serious threats to the nation, and there are dangers to allowing that. But he is saying we must go ahead, allow people who are dual, citizens, let them go to parliament. We should only stop them from becoming speakers, from becoming vice presidents, from becoming president. But here, very interesting. I've just been joined online, by phone, by Honorable Dr. Kande Kole Yunkela. He's out of the country currently, but he's one of those pushing for the amendment of that particular section in our constitution that we must allow that to go on. Honorable, good evening and welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for...
Good evening to your listeners.
Thank you, and thank you for accepting to speak to us on such a short notice. Now there is this debate ongoing. You are pushing for, those with dual citizenship to be allowed to be voted for, and without renouncing, the other citizenship they hold. Now, how does that work? We've just listened to Honorable Ibrahim Ben Kabo saying we should also allow, dual citizens to go into parliament, but we should prevent them from becoming speakers, vice presidents, and presidents. Now, take us through the reasons why you're pushing for this amendment.
Well, that's exactly what Honorable Ibrahim Ben Kabo has explained is exactly what my bill has done. My bill says allow dual citizens to run for parliament, but they should not run for president nor speaker. And of course, in the debate, you can add others. So, for example, if you take my bill, we say you amend Section 76(1), you amend Section 75A, then we now begin to prohibit. We say, look, the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991 is amended by repeal of 76(1)A, which says now, oh yes, dual citizens, you can be members of parliament, you will not be disqualified. We also say the Constitution of Sierra Leone is amended by the inclusion of the words other than a dual citizen who acquired his citizenship, his Sierra Leonean citizenship by birth, immediately after the word is a citizen of Sierra Leone in Section 41, which deals with the presidency. We also go down to the speaker. So exactly what Honorable Ivy Kago has explained is what we did. We said, yes, you can run for parliament, you may hold other public positions, but if you want to run for president, no. If you want to be speaker, no. In the debate we will have in parliament, you can add others. For example, I believe that you cannot be commissioner of our police and be dual citizen. I believe that you cannot be the head of army and be a dual citizen. You can add other exemptions, as we call them. So we have taken care of everything that Honorable Ivy Kago said. And the reason we were able to do that is that over 3 years, we were discussing with other MPs, other people. I give some credit to Honorable Chairman Maju himself, some other lawyers. So we spent time really trying to accommodate some of those concerns, that there can be exemptions. So yes, I am very proud that this debate is taking place. That was the intention we had, that let's have a national debate about this. But we went further. We also gave government a concept paper about Sierra Leonean nationals voting in election, being registered and allowed to vote from their countries of residence. That is already allowed by law, Section 18 of the 2012 Electoral Act. What has been missing is an administrative process to make it happen. We did a concept paper, We even tried to post it for them to say, look, we can make our citizens vote now from any country, but we can start with about 30 polling stations, in other words, 30 locations. So we went further. Also, we called it an omnibus bill. Why? We added the 30% quota for women. Yeah. We also added that you should allow people to resign 6 months before elections, not 12 months. So yes, we are very proud that in fact what we sent to Parliament a year ago, an omnibus bill, and included several of these things, which we call low-hanging fruits. And as Lawyer Gabriel has said, some of these debates is not new. I knew of them even in the 90s. What we did, and I say we because it was not me alone, I consulted widely, I brought other people in. We tried to say we can make it happen with one legislation. Simple amendment, 2/3 majority. Over to you.
Let me ask you this question. Getting those with dual citizenship to go into Parliament, one of the most powerful, organs out of the three within the state, if we're to deal with separation of power. Is that not tantamount to even having a commissioner heading the police? Because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are going to approve those appointments, be a commissioner of police, the one who will be heading the military, those who will be at the National Telecommunications Commission. Is it not almost saying, you can be a member of parliament, you still have the power to approve who is going to serve there, so you still can influence, those things, taking into consideration?
No, you cannot.
Go ahead.
No, you cannot, because you can do exemptions. We already started in my own bill. We made exemptions. We went to section 41. Yeah? We made exemptions. You can include exemptions. I have been now in Parliament 3 years, and I have seen the thorough job we do in the Legislative Committee. If you take the cybercrime bill, in 2 sittings we did before coming back to Parliament in what we call 3 legislative sessions, we spent over 10 hours going line by line, word by word, with Sludge and others, modifying. You can do the same with a 2-sim bill. We can do a pre-legislative process. We can add additional exemptions. So I'm not too worried about those things you're saying, because you can include them as exemptions. That you cannot be the commissioner of the police. You cannot also be head of the military. These are sensitive positions, as we have done in our own bill we sent to Parliament, that you cannot be president and be a dual national. Even in America, you can't do it. And Schwarzenegger could be governor by naturalization, but he cannot run for president of the United States. That's one good example you see. So indeed, you can make exemptions. So that worry you have would not happen. Also, I have heard people talk about, foreigners will take over our country. Come on. Did they take over Senegal? No. They haven't taken over Senegal or South Africa. People underestimate themselves. We should not underestimate ourselves as Sierra Leoneans. You can protect certain rights. You can protect certain positions. But yes, you open up the space. So we now have an inclusive, that's why we call ours an inclusive governance and equitable bill, an omnibus bill, inclusive governance and equitable, allowing more women, guaranteeing them position, allowing more youth, allowing our dual nationals, so we tap into their knowledge to run our country better. Yeah?
Let me ask you this question. The fact that many have submitted positions that the Honorable Dr. Kande Kola-Yumkela is pushing so hard for this bill simply because his support basis in the diaspora. So he's been selfish in this quest. Is that the case?
If anything, I'm being selfless because I will not benefit from this. I already gave mine up. But I think it was wrong discrimination against others. I believe that if you want to run for president, you should not be a dual national. So I don't benefit. This is selfless. And that is what good lawmakers should do. You think about the future. A lot of our citizens have moved out because of civil war, because of the difficult economic conditions. I have seen other countries tap into that resource. China gets over 30 billion remittances. Nigeria about 10 billion. Senegal, 3 billion or more. All of these countries are beginning to tap into that FDI, foreign direct investments from their national. Philippines, Bangladesh. So I have seen the positive impacts. I have seen shopping malls. I have seen condominiums, infrastructure investments, all tailored so that in fact, their countries encourage them to go out, so that they become part of that knowledge system, that network of private capital flow. We have to prepare Sierra Leone for the 21st century and for our grandchildren. I like what Lawyer Gabidon said about the daughter. In our law today, as he said, if you go out and naturalize, you cannot run. But if you begin a dual national and not one by naturalization, you can come back and run. That doesn't make sense. You were born here. By birth, you are a Sierra Leonean. We know sometimes these things happen because of economic reasons, because also our economies are small. We're a small country, but we need that knowledge flow. We need that capital flow, and we prepare ourselves for the future, not the past. People are worried about small things of the past. No, we're smart enough. If they've not taken over the South African economy, the Senegalese economy, why are we afraid? We're not afraid. Come on, we can do safeguards. We did safeguards for cybersecurity. We did safeguards for even the abolition of the death penalty. So we can do the same here. We're creative. Other countries have done it. This is not rocket science. We can include those safeguards that people are worried about.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kande Kola-Yumkela, for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, God bless you.
Can I react to you?
Quickly, go ahead.
First of all, when you listen to a politician talk, you know he's always going to be a politician. I would not have expected Dr. Yumkela to say, I'm doing it for my own gain. It's not possible. He's never going to say that. But listening to him, it's just like you have used the carrot and stick approach, right? When you use the carrot to lure the person in, and you want to use the stick to beat the person, it's not going to work. If the person becomes a member of parliament, I still maintain, he will still find a way to cajole people to get him to change that act, and he becomes a Speaker of the House of Parliament and a President. So I think we should maintain it as it is.
So what's your fear precisely? Is your fear that of, they would become Speaker, they will become Vice President, they will become, because he is saying they can make exemptions, and they've already made submissions with regards having safeguards exempting them from
the
being.
dual, not for naturalized.
Yes, from the dual, yes.
He did not say anything about the naturalized.
Yes, no, but
he
even for the
that.
dual, Lawyer Gabidon, my point is, why do we want to take such risk? Having them in parliament is still having them at the helm of affairs. They control our country. If they really want to help in the country, there are other sectors they could help. Why only parliament? Why only politics?
Let me ask, Lawyer Gabidon, let me ask you this question. You have many of those who go to those countries, they try to get citizenship through naturalization based on several factors. For example, we live in a country whose health sector is a mess, sadly. So people have to be assured of their health status. Health insurances, you go to those countries, they are there. You can always be assured of that. So you do not come here, and when you're sick, you get flown to those countries. With all of those things in place, is it not but fitting to allow people to look at those factors and say, yes, go ahead, because we know where we live from. We've even been in this country where a government minister has sat on radio, told us that, given it was politically suicidal for him to have made that statement, that he would definitely want his wife to go, to overseas and deliver. Yeah. But, that was suicidal politically, but it was just a fact. Taking into consideration our health sector.
But you see, we are confusing two things.
Go ahead.
Sierra Leone used to have, I'm telling you, one of the best health systems when I was growing up in this country. Yes, sir. I won't tell you my age, but I've lived long enough. And when I say one of the best, I know because I've been to Harley Streets, I've been to America, I've been to all these places. The doctors who used to treat me here were just as good as any of those. Over the years, politics and tribalism interfered. with many things in this country, and we lost a lot of good people. So I don't think this has anything to do with naturalization. There were good doctors who had to leave. Let me tell you, when the Ebola crisis came, I went to Dr. Willoughby, my friend, may so rest in peace. He called some of them on the phone, boys and girls who we taught at the medical school. He said, I know some of you won't come, send drugs, send this. And they did participate, but they said they will not come. The question is, it had nothing to do with citizenship. The question is, they were looking at the resources, the infrastructure, what was available. This was their complaints. It had nothing to do with citizenship. In other words, why do you want us to come when we don't have the necessary tools to work with? It had nothing to do with citizenship. We all blame it. It has nothing. If you really, there are people in this, okay, let's say Dr. Naim. That man has been working for a psychiatrist for nearly 40-something years. He told me, say, Francis, I can have a job anywhere in the world. He stayed and worked. Today, everybody's praising him. Now we have this young Dr. Jallo. He could go anywhere. The question, I don't want to argue with my friend, Dr. Yumkela. I know, and I can assure you, that that is where he has the majority of his support. But as I've said to him, you are so popular. Why don't you try and win the support of your brothers and sisters here? Now, that is why you see him introduce the other one, Diaspora voting. I think people must be clever. He was now thinking, if you not allow dual, will allow them to vote abroad. Look, I know that is because that is where his support is.
So you see what I'm saying?
It is a government who will introduce such a bill. You will never have a bill of such magnitude introduced by a private member. No way, sir.
All right.
All the citizenship bills in this country have been introduced by government. I think that is one of the reasons why it's not having government support. Allow the government to come forward with it, but it's singular and it's pushing and it's pushing. Because why does he want diaspora voting? It's not because that's where his support is.
But isn't that also necessary? Do you want to disenfranchise your citizens?
Oh no, that's what I'm for.
Okay, good.
Oh yes.
Quickly, let me have your support. Let me have your submission,
let them vote there.
so I can bring in our viewers and listeners.
Okay, well, my own submission, as I've been saying all this while,
Let him vote there.
I don't think this is something we should be pushing for at this point in time.
No.
We should call on Sierra Leoneans everywhere to give their support in any area that they can.
Exactly.
Politics is but another activity that we can get involved in. Should we only concentrate on going to Parliament when we have issues to discuss about? Looking at even this COVID that is happening in the country, there has been a stall in many economic activities, and it's having a repercussion on our economy. So why don't we focus our attention on that rather than pushing for this having dual citizenship going into Parliament?
And when he said Senegal, the people he's referring to are not in Parliament in Senegal. They are sending money as Senegalese to their parents, to their relatives, but they're not fighting to go to the Senegalese Parliament. I wish I was able. You did not give us a chance for everything. I said, can you go? They're not fighting to go into their Parliament. They're sending money to their relatives. There are many Sierra Leoneans abroad who send money. They don't want to go to our Parliament.
Right. Okay, let's bring in our viewers and our listeners into the conversation. Now, the number for you guys to call in is +232 30 622 766 +232 30 622 766. Adam Adenke is saying poverty might be one of the main causes for dual citizenship. Interestingly, we've gotten our very first caller. Good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen, and Mr. Wise and my honorable learned people in the studio.
Go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Malaika, and I'm calling from Scandinavia Sport to be precise. Well, actually, my contribution here is, actually, I want to agree to some extent to my lecturer, and by saying Sierra Leone and America are two different places. Yes, we agree. Because America is over 200 years when they gained independence. And also Sierra Leone is over 50 years. America is a developed country, while Sierra Leone is still crippling after 50 years, you know. But he also brought example by saying America...
Oh, unfortunately. Hello. We think we've got no. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
UID.
Yes, please.
This is Sumaru calling. I just want to ask, what is the motive behind this, all this naturalization or even the dual citizenship? the tax regime created an office to encourage diasporans to go and invest in that country. How many of us went back to invest? Even those that are having the passport, not the dual citizens, those that are already having the Sierra Leonean passport, did not go back. None of them went. You see, I think we should, this energy that we are all just wasting on this dual citizenship, I think the government and the parliamentarians should use it to at least convince those that are having the Sierra Leonean passport to go and invest.
Right.
Sierra Leone is open for investment. That's what we should be discussing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Interesting. Hello.
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, actually I was disturbed by some interrupted lecture.
Go ahead.
What I was trying to say is that Mr. Lecturer made an example about the former President Obama, who was a so-loved president by the whole world. He was a Kenyan and American. So we know if we bring in people, our brothers and abroad to participate in governance, I don't think that is wrong. For example, the former ambassador in Sierra Leone, he was she was a Mexican American, but she was included in governance. So why can't we bring those policies here? Even if a Lebanese man is made a president here, if that can always stop this nepotism and tribalism, as far as I'm concerned, I accept it in good faith. But our brothers here, who are presidents and honorables and what have you, because of arrogance of being a brother or a sister who are not competent, they give them offices.
All right.
Which is in fact leaving this country nowhere.
Thank you.
But if a foreigner can be a president and stop this tribalism and nepotism, I accept that one in good faith.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Interesting. We have so many callers, but I think what we're going to do, we can only accommodate at most 5 more calls. Good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Lamin Samuel Kuyatao.
Go ahead.
Yes, the lecturer has said it all. All these diasporas want to come and do is to exploit. Because let's check all statistically how many diasporas have investments in Sierra Leone. There are so many areas to invest and develop the country, but we don't see them come often to come and invest. Only when it comes in terms of politics, they come and begin to say, well, we want to be parliamentarian, ministers, and even when they are given such opportunities, they don't often perform well.
Thank you, sir.
How can people outside this country decide the fate of this country? You have traveled outside the country and you've stayed there. So you cannot decide the fate of us that are living here in the country. It shouldn't be that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My contribution for this show.
Unfortunately, I'm going to drop your call. If you want to be part of the conversation, move away from your TV or radio set so we can have a very good and great conversation, please. Good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Good evening, Mr. Y, Bangura, and AYV on Sunday. My name is Solomon Sundu.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, we're getting you loud and clear.
Yeah, my name is Solomon Sundu. I'm glad that I am part of this discussion again. This topic has been brought up by the very lawyer Gabidon on dual citizenship and, naturalization. If I could recall in 2018 or before that, some of us in the civil society took up that topic. We asked by then the ruling party in governance, APC, why at that time they allowed the diasporas to come and spend their money. Then at the end of the day, they deny them with symbol. But what we are saying, and I was on one of your programs again these days, that we should allow them, but there should be restrictive area. Reason being, our security cannot be exposed. Like what he mentioned, on the security sector, other areas cannot be accepted for them. And there should be exemptions. You know, in law, when they go to parliament, they will discuss some of these issues. But these are Sierra Leoneans. It doesn't mean that they should be banned from owning other positions, but there should be some restriction, even if they go to parliament. But let there be some open field so that they will come. I mean, we are talking of democracy. And for us who are campaigning for good democracy in Sierra Leone, we should allow views, other players to come in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Yeah, this I'm glad I called from the other.
Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, me, I want to know if any research the way they say so many Africans, not only Sierra Leoneans, within our Senate or Congress or any other parliament around the world, we are in the still the African citizenship.
All right.
I want to know that. Secondly,
they are African.
These are political strategy. For say, we party then they are, we not get money. So when I get money, when I get it, I can't invest. Salomon and big woman and money one. So when I can't invest, when election can, when I only go to parliament, when I go back. After us, when I allegiance to other man country. So therefore, me, I want them there with this no more.
All right.
You understand?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Yes, good evening, Brother Samuel West Bambura. This is General Fuller calling from Kosota.
Go ahead.
Yes, I think the lawyer there have said it all, and of course, lecturer there have said it all. You know, in Sierra Leone, in fact, I think even if these people go to the parliament, you know, they will use the influence because parliamentarians have all the powers to influence whatever law.
So,
you understand?
now you see?
To do whatever
Exactly
thing
what I was
within
saying.
the ambit of the law that is within their reach at that moment, they will do it. If supposing tomorrow we allow this law to become a law, this bill to become a law, then tomorrow, just next tomorrow in the morning, then parliamentarians wake up and say, you know what, today all members, those in favor of dual citizenship or somebody who is a naturalized Sierra Leonean to become a speaker of ours, all those people say, they say, the eyes have it. So what then could we say? I think the only thing here is if people want to really contribute to the development of Sierra Leone, there are other areas that you are mentioning.
Okay.
The area of health sector, education, good roads, agriculture. These are areas that people will come and invest their money, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that you have to go to parliament and become the most powerful person on planet Earth.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give our last caller an opportunity. Good evening, AYV on Sunday.
Yeah, good evening, Samuel.
Go ahead. We're getting you, boss.
Yeah, I'm Abubakar. Of course, I feel disappointed to Kande Unkela, the politician. We from grassroots admire them, you know. So letting the talk, then kind talk, then they to see for allow people from other countries for can pass in parliament. One thing no more go ask them, I want to make it tell me the Salomon the way they reside in America, with the actors MP there or ministers there.
All right.
I'm really disappointed to Dr. Kande Unkela.
Okay. Thank you. And we have to hold the calls there. Should Dr. Kande choose to respond to any of the comments, he will definitely call, and be part, and he will be given the opportunity to respond to some of them. But let me run through a few messages just quickly. SWB Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora are well informed and knowledgeable about politics, administration, and business in the country. It is but very necessary that they have an opportunity to become legislators. That is where laws are made that affect, plan, organize, and influence business decisions. That's from Ajibu. And Omar Kamara is saying this dual citizenship needs no debate. If someone believes he or she can make a positive change to our country, that is high time to decline the order and come home to mitigate poverty. Momo Vandi is saying, Lawyer Gabidon, please don't be economical with the fruit when making examples. What happened next to the Japanese? America later on apologized to them and accepted they were wrong. I guess they were compensated too. Ambassador Mike Joseph Kanu is saying, can technicians, okay, thank you very much. I'm sure they've done that. Michael Formos is saying, my take is there are so many other ways people from the diaspora can help in terms of development in the country rather than going into politics. 95% of our politicians have lived abroad for many years. What has the country benefited from them, apart from stealing public funds and running back to their adopted countries? Amara Alpha is saying, honestly, this particular law disenfranchised our dear brothers and sisters who are living outside Sierra Leone. But our law is supreme and must be respected. Samura Kamara is saying, our brothers and sisters coming home are not interested in politics. Most of them are doing some fantastic job currently in Sierra Leone. Let all man come as long as they are coming for nation building. I'm going to take at most 5 more messages. We have hundreds of messages. Definitely you will have time to respond to.
No, just that one man. Because I know they were interned, I know they were kept there and only released after the war. So I'm not economical with the truth. I think he doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right. Look, naturalized Sierra Leoneans are Sierra Leoneans, period. They contribute tremendously to the development of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is currently being denied the academic and economic resources that Sierra Leoneans living abroad can contribute to the nation. That's from Francis Dumbuya. Exactly. Imagine the day diasporans stop sending the money back home. That's the time people will come out in numbers. Hunger. Mark Bungo is saying, yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. If you, as a Sierra Leonean, and your child was born in another country, will he or she be allowed to hold in? I think we've addressed that particular issue. Eddie Grant, quite interesting, saying Honorable Ibrahim Kabo is being held in traffic, I believe. Well, I hope he's able to beat the traffic in to be here. Okay. We'll come to that. George Orwell is saying, I believe there's a confusion with this clause of naturalization. I believe we're talking about Sierra Leoneans and who are naturalized in another country versus foreign nationals who come to Sierra Leone and became naturalized. Sierra Leoneans who are naturalized in another country should have rights to be voted and voted for. Before Sierra Leone is their country of birth, while foreign nationals with naturalized citizens should not be allowed to be voted in our country, to our high political offices. That's from George Orwell. 2 more messages, quite interesting. Masovino is in Honorable Ben Kabo is still in Makeni. All right. If I'm born in Sierra Leone, I can speak the Creole fluently without accent, and I don't think getting a position in Sierra Leone politics should be a problem. Carl Kamara. Quite interesting. Why? Quite interesting. There are many ways of helping your country other than being a parliamentarian. Why always through politics? Eddie Grant is asking. Persistently, let me take this caller from Virginia in the U.S. Good evening.
Hello. Yes, hello, Samuel. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. Tell us your name.
Hey, let me make a quick contribution.
Tell us your name, please, quickly.
Are doing very good. It's a concerned citizen.
Go ahead.
All the debaters, they are doing really good. First of all, to Lawyer Gabidon, I would say if President Bio is listening, probably it will make him an advisor to his government. That's just one very quick thing I want to put in there. But we need to open up the constitution of Sierra Leone so Sierra Leoneans that are born in Sierra Leone can participate. At some point, I disagree with going to parliament, but I can give you examples of people that are not born in certain countries that are representative of their parliaments now. For example, like in the United States, we have somebody like Kian Oman. He was born in Mogadishu, Somalia. He came into the United States as a refugee. But because of what she can do, she is representing Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. I can tell you also somebody like Boris Johnson, who is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He was born in New York. Today he's the prime minister. And guess what? Boris Johnson can come back to the United States and be a president of the United States because he's a naturalized born citizen of the United States. So all the contributions there, they are good. They just need to open up the constitution of Sierra Leone so people that are capable can contribute to the development of Sierra Leone. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Two more messages. Fode Mustafa Toure is saying, it doesn't matter what nationality one acquires. We are through and through Sierra Leoneans and shouldn't be discriminated against for anything. People are out here for opportunities that Sierra Leone cannot offer. How have the home base developed the country? If voting is not compulsory, most Sierra Leoneans won't even vote because they are not interested in the politics here. This is the reason why Sierra Leone is not moving forward, because we always cite the backward examples to justify our actions. We don't copy things that made Western countries what they are today, but we will copy examples like Cameroon and Kenya, who are both struggling at the bottom of the development table. It's a shame to hear people trying to limit the opportunities for born Sierra Leoneans. I have always respected Lawyer Gabidon, but he missed this one. In the UK and in the USA, naturalized citizens can become anything. They extort people's brain and everything to move forward, but Sierra Leone only wants to get money from the diaspora. We are true-blooded Sierra Leoneans and deserve every chance, like the home base without limitations. I wish I could stop helping people back home after hearing this. Please don't stop. Keep helping. Fode Mustafa Toure.
Okay, let me just react to this one. We are not, I'm reiterating this, we are not alienating against Sierra Leoneans. Our point is, why is it only politics that Sierra Leoneans are interested in? If you want to develop the country, if you want to help, come and invest in other areas. There are investment opportunities here. There are things you could do to help the country. It's not only about going to parliament or making laws. No, there are so many things we could do. The academic world needs people from the diaspora to come in. The health infrastructure, we are struggling. Even the engineering infrastructure. To make our roads, we bring in foreigners to come and make our roads. Meanwhile, we have Sierra Leoneans working in top engineering institutions that could actually develop this country. So why is it only about politics that we are concerned about? If you are a Sierra Leonean, you are a Sierra Leonean.
Let me done with the messages just quickly.
Now is being repaired. It's done by Guineans. No, it's a big development, about $52 million by the Saudi Islamic
Why can't we use Sierra Leoneans?
It's done by Guineans. What about all these Sierra Leoneans there? Why don't our engineers come and help us here? Guineans who are doing it.
All right.
So, I mean,
Momo Vande is saying this is for the attention of Lawyer Gabidon. This month marks the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, where the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. shared his dream for a more equal America. But there's another anniversary looming. 25 years ago this week, the Japanese-American community celebrated a landmark victory in its own struggle for civil rights. In 1988, President Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act to compensate more than 100,000 people of Japanese descent who were incarcerated in internment camps during World War II. The legislation offered a formal apology and paid out $20,000 in compensation to each surviving victim. The law won congressional approval only after a decade-long campaign by the Japanese-American community. I mean, and people have started naming names in Sierra Leone of people, I mean, who are born here, who are said to born here, but they are they are considered to be, I mean, foreigners. It's quite interesting. I mean, the debate is very captivating.
The only reason why I mentioned the question of the Japanese was to say that even when they had their naturalization, they did not trust them. It was that's why they interned them. That's what I was saying. So they are going beyond what I said. I'm saying you allow these people as naturalized citizens, they were, but then when working, you put them in a military camp. That was what I was trying to say. So all the question of compensation has nothing to do with what I'm saying. In other words, when you're naturalizing somebody, you're taking a risk, as you said. So why did they put them in a military camp and release them after the war?
Samuel,
if they trusted
I
them?
think we're missing the
They're
point.
missing
So,
the
so
point.
what you're saying?
They're missing the
so
point.
what? So what? They can come in and they can use their expertise in other sectors, in
Nobody
other
has
areas
stopped them
that
from
are,
coming.
that are needed badly. But again, the question I want to ask: why not politics?
Why politics?
Why?
So you guys have said not politics. So I'm asking now, why not politics?
That's why politics.
We don't see much difference, as Kanda himself said. How many members of parliament do you know who make very good contributions, Mr. Wise? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you that. How many, even from the diaspora, who are there now, have made very good contributions? Some of the best debaters are people who are local based. And I'll give you names, especially from the opposition party.
Of course.
Most of them have never been to UK and England. They are so good. They know the terrain, their contribution. I don't want to name them. So you don't have to go to America to be a good parliamentarian. You don't have to. I've been all over the world, so what? I don't speak good English because there are people who speak probably better English than me, but they are here.
You making a good parliamentarian is not about diction. I've met people who speak very good English, but they don't make any sense, sadly. So as I've always said in my classes, you speaking English is not a sign of intelligence. It's just a medium of communication. So my point is, even these diasporans that are coming in to run for members of parliament, do they have the prerequisite requirement to go to parliament?
I don't know.
Have they understood the processes of making law? Do they know about what is required? What are the requirements? What are the tenets?
But even those, I mean, the locals, do they know? They go to parliament. I mean, they are oriented. I mean, they are oriented. They're given, I mean, the constitution, the standing orders, and they are tutored on how, I mean, parliamentary procedures and proceedings.
So my question still stands. Why are we only focused on parliament? Is it only because of the politics?
You know, when our forefathers named that house the Well of Parliament, it was appropriately done simply because, I mean, that is the mine where the iron meant to forge our laws. That's the field where it is mined, the iron. The water that we should use to just nurture our democracy, that is where it is drawn from. So it is a very powerful house.
Why Nigeria and Ghana are not obsessed with that diaspora?
Why? Yes.
No, why? Okay, why is it Sierra Leone? The Gambia, Nigeria, Cameroon, tell me.
The Honorable Kane cited what they contribute in terms of remittances to those countries.
But these are people who would have contributed in any case.
Everybody, listen, Sammy.
Listen, now let me give you an example.
Go ahead.
My daughter sends money for me, if you want me to know. I'm not in parliament because she thinks she has a moral obligation
to do so.
To help me because I educated her. So do you have to go to parliament for people? You know, I don't really know. We're wasting our time.
That's a nice way of telling me that I should come asking you for something every month. Go ahead.
No, but on a,
I don't like this thing. If they withdraw their money,
note,
they have relatives. Then get their mama and papa and then get for some money. Nothing but with parliament. It's a blackmail. It's a blackmail.
On a concluding note, I think what Sierra Leone needs at this time, we need our people to come back to invest in areas of this country, and let's make Sierra Leone the place that we all want it to be. We should not be obsessed
how can we do so? Now we talk about a free and democratic society that, I mean, we should not discriminate. Even when you talk about xenophobia, it's not in the practice of Sierra Leone. But now we're trying to say, listen, you guys are Sierra Leoneans. You guys were born here. You've gone to the US. You've gone to the UK. You've gone to Canada. You've gone to Nigeria, Guinea, Ghana. You've naturalized based on different reasons. And you feel like now you want to come home to serve your people. And you feel in the capacity you want to come to serve your people is going into politics. Is you wanting to go to parliament to see, perhaps you've seen how the US, how the UK, I mean, how the congressmen, the senators, how they've been debating and making laws that have progressed those countries, I mean, into positions we admire them today. So they want to come and bring those expertise into our, because given the argument has always been, we've not had the best of parliamentarians who can actually, I mean, articulate the issues that Sierra Leoneans look forward to. We do not have the best of parliamentarians who were... when you have bills, they take those bills to the constituents. I mean, discuss, consult with them, and go back. We do not have them. Perhaps they do not know that's the best practice. But these guys, I mean, who've gone to other countries, they've seen those practices, and they want to export them. I mean, import them to Sierra Leone.
No, wait, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Otherwise, you are young.
Go ahead.
You are young. I know people like Mohammed Bashtaki, Ibrahim Taki, Bates Wilson.
No, we're talking about what we have now. What we have now.
Well, I don't know now. I don't know because I know truthfully. I don't want to call their names because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's what I said. There's a chap from Kabbalah. I don't know his name. He's very good.
Definitely, we have few good ones. I agree. I've had them. I've hosted them.
But you're talking as if these are.
No, I'm asking questions.
I don't know them.
Lawyer Gabidon, let me just say something. Even the diasporans that we have,
yes,
that you're claiming have seen how it is done in the diaspora,
the Congress of Parliament,
where they should go and consult with their constituents on issues. Which of them have done it? Including our man that is pushing this bill. Has he ever gone back to Canberra to consult with his people that this is what we want to do and this is what is happening in the country? If he has done that, then I think he has a case here. But I have not seen anything. In fact, there was a time when the people asked him that, why don't you do development programs? Do you know what he said?
Tell me.
That parliamentarians are only meant to make laws and not to develop their constituencies.
But that's what the Constitution is saying.
But again, it is not just about what the Constitution is saying. Why are they giving constituency development fund for?
They said it's
what is the use of it?
They said it's for facilitation.
So, Lawyer Gabidon, can we now see that even though we've allowed some of them to come, thinking that they can bring best practices, it is not being done?
No. Right. And why did
it is not being done? So how can we continue to bring more of them?
If they are doing so well, why did they lose the last 2 by-elections to the governing party? I believe Dr. Nkela has a lot to do in Sierra Leone. He's a brilliant man. He made a name at UNIDO. It's good. We need people like him in this country. My own question is, let us go into other areas. Let us in investments, industries, factories. This is what we need now.
Even education. We need them to come for education.
We don't need more parliamentarians.
We don't need more parliamentarians. We need more doctors. We need more specialists. We need more investors.
Not parliamentarians.
When they go to parliament, is it also possible that they can get the ministers, they can get the MBAs performed well?
IB, who did not come, is a first-class parliamentarian.
Yes.
He's taken seriously when he makes a point, the government. So I don't agree with you that they don't listen to him. There are some people in that opposition, I don't know that they are extremely good. There's a chap, he's from Koinadugu, I don't know his name. Whenever he's look, there are people there. I don't want to embarrass them.
I've hosted a couple of them, the likes of Abdul Kabu, Abdul Karim.
So do they have to come from the diaspora?
I've hosted a couple of them. They're very good.
Well, do they have to come from the diaspora to make good parliamentarians? Let the diaspora
the Gevao, the Tawads. I mean, they've been exceptional.
I taught him at law school. I taught the deputy, what's his name, Chaikoko was my student. Deputy Speaker was my student at law school. I taught all of them. They are good people. They don't need to.
But let me ask this question just quickly. Let me ask this question. Yes, now, one of the free constitutional mandates of members of parliament is to perform oversight functions. They go, they oversee, they look at the things the MPs are supposed to do and all of that. Does that not give them, look at these, say, for example, you have Archibald Strasser King, who is living in the US. A Sierra Leonean. He wants to come in to be a member of parliament, perhaps. Yes, I'm just citing an example.
I don't know.
I'm just citing an example. He's a staff of AYV. I'm just citing an example. Okay. It comes to Sierra Leone and wants to go into parliament because he feels, for example, that his oversight duty would earn him a more befitting position to change the narrative, to perhaps go to Connaught, go to Cottage and see what is being done there. Are the practices best of standards for our people, our lives? Does that not provide a better opportunity?
No,
I was asking, what is holding him?
Because he's been denied the right because he's a dual national.
Who said that?
Been denied.
To go into parliament because he holds, a US citizenship.
They might pass this bill, so he might go.
No,
Yes, go ahead.
my concern is, it's just like I always say, when people talk about this gender thing, they're always taking, okay, you've given some women opportunities and you want to alienate because these women did not perform.
Yeah.
I'm not alienating anyone. If you're a Sierra Leonean, you're a Sierra Leonean. You don't need a visa to come to Sierra Leone as a Sierra Leonean, do you? You don't need a work permit to come and work in Sierra Leone as a Sierra Leonean, do you? So why are we taking it like, without politics, that Sierra Leonean nationality has been taken away from you? It has not. In fact, it should be an opportunity for you to prove to the people that I can do better. If you are in a position that your work is being felt, I would assure you it is the people that will come for you and make you a member of parliament, not you vying for the position.
So let's imagine, let me take you for example, your constituency where you live. You're in the US, you have a US citizenship and a Sierra Leone, and you've been doing extremely well in your constituency. And the people feel, your constituency feel like you can better represent them in parliament. And they call for you, but there is a law that discriminates, that pushes you, hey, you aren't going to get this. What does that do to the constituency, to those people you've been doing extremely well? Tell me.
Do you think I can make a better parliamentarian because I'm helping? What if I go there and I stop helping?
What is holding him up? By giving up his American citizenship?
Yes. No, but even when I go there. Even when I go there.
Go back to America?
No, but
I'm asking him because he's saying that. And that's what you
I'm creating a scenario, yes.
Okay, the issue now is probably me doing that, I'm a businessman.
Right.
And I have the resources at hand to do whatever I have to do and I want to do. So helping people is not a prerequisite that I can be a good parliamentarian. It's just like if you're a very good talker at home, doesn't make you a good debater.
Right.
You can discuss everything you want in your house. In fact, when they call for arguments, you are the judge. You always come, you sit there, you say, no, this is wrong, this is right. And when they put you on the platform to say a word, you get stage fright. You can't even speak. It's just like that scenario now that we've taken somebody, because he's helping in the community, we now put him in parliament. And when it comes to articulation, like I said, my parliamentarian, I've never seen him discuss anything. And the man is sitting at the back in parliament. Always at the... In fact, since I've lived in my place where I live, all the parliamentarians that have gone there, none of them have ever made a contribution in discussion.
I want to give you one good example of a diaspora.
Go ahead, please.
There's a diaspora now who's come home. He's come with dialysis machines, kidney machines. He wanted to go and work for government. Whatever happened, I don't know. He's opened up now at Campbell Street. He's doing a fantastic job. Everybody is going to him when they cannot go to Connaught. This dialysis machine to do their blood or when you have all this kidney problem. And he's making money and he's making a name. Does he have to go to parliament? Does he have to be a minister of health? So I don't know, as I say. But honestly, I think it would be nice one day. Let's put all of them in parliament and let's see how they contribute. It would be nice, and let's see them.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. I mean, as we look to charting the reformatory way forward now in this very crucial conversation about having naturalized citizens going to parliament, or dual, nationals going to parliament. Into a very powerful house. At this point, what should we focus on in terms of the law? Should we keep the law as it is because it protects the country's sovereignty, it protects the country's integrity and independence, or should we amend it so that we get these guys in? And questions around security issues, questions around where does your loyalty lie and allegiance would then keep coming.
No, you know what we should do?
Tell us.
Let's give it to a referendum. Let's give people a chance, a silence. Let them vote on this issue.
Let them make a decision.
Yes, I think that's the best thing. So you, Gabidon will shut up, Dr. Excel will shut up. No, what I mean.
I understand.
Let the people decide, and we are good what the people decide. It was the same thing in the 1991 Constitution. The Constitution that brought up all these was a referendum put to the people, and that was what they decided. Peter Tucker and his team, they went all over Sierra Leone, every village, every corner, every nook. It was from what they got, they put the 1991 Constitution. If today we think that certain things come, we want to change, fine. Let's go and meet the people again and change. Say fine.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree. Big.
Let's go to a referendum.
If if everything comes, if anything comes as a repercussion, it's all of us that will suffer the repercussion.
Yeah.
So that time, nobody will be blamed.
Majority does not necessarily mean it's the right thing. It's the correct thing to do.
And then how did you go to Parliament? It was the same majority that took you to Parliament. So because it was the majority that took you to Parliament, let the majority also give you the opportunity to go. You give the platform to them. Yes. This is the constitution. We want to amend it based on this. And also, before we go, there is something I've been thinking about. Before the late man passed away, there was a constitutional review happening.
Yeah, the CRC.
Yes.
The late Kawan.
Yes, yes. Justice Kawan.
Yes, yes.
Well, he made a report
and submitted to government.
But the president then has refused to, I think, to
come out with a white paper.
So the new government now, they are reviewing some of the recommendations.
Okay.
In that they're on it now.
Yeah. Because I'm sure that is something that was also needed at this time, so that we can see how we could chart the way forward. Because it was a whole process.
Yeah.
Some of us were involved as civil society activists. We came on board. We were invited. We discussed, we had plenary sessions.
Yeah.
After all of those inputs, where has it gone? So that was my question, that if we have something like that, then I think it could chart the way forward.
Well, I think the former president I had was not so happy with certain things that he wanted, which were not there. It was put aside. So this new government has now taken it up, and they are looking at it afresh, all the different. So they will come up also as well with a white paper or something.
Okay.
So that
and
is
then, of course, people will decide or whatever it is.
Yes.
But for me...
So at this point, you think the people should make the decision that it should not be left in the hands of Parliament?
It should not be left to Parliament, because there are far-reaching repercussions if we're going to change some of these laws.
Right.
And if the people say they want to change, so be it. I support it.
Right. And then at the end of the day, we also suffer the consequences, or we enjoy the benefits.
At least we would have made our position clear.
Exactly.
All right. Many thanks to you, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. I must apologize for the absence of the Honorable Ibrahim Ben Kabo, who honorably agreed, but honorably did not show up in the conversation. We apologize for that. And we also apologize for Valnoa Edwin, who called earlier and said she had an emergency, so she was not going to make it. So, and she has always been here whenever we call on her. So we apologize for her not coming in, but we have no reason as to why the Honorable Ibrahim Ben Kabo did not honorably show up for the show when he agreed. I mean, he agreed honorably even 20 minutes to the show. My name is Samuel Wise Bangura. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Many thanks to our panelists for their time. And many thanks to your lovely audience. A repeat of this program comes up on Thursday at 4 p.m. Thank you for staying with us and participating in the program. Be sure to catch a fresh edition next week, same time, here on your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news, AYV. Coming up after this is our AYV Primetime News. Like I said, my name is Samuel Wise Bango, and the show has been AYV on Sunday. Thank you for watching and listening.